It's easy to feel invisible sometimes, especially when you're working hard towards something that matters to you. Whether it's in your career, personal goals, or even in relationships, there's often a moment when you realize people aren't paying attention to your efforts. They don't acknowledge your progress, they don't offer support, and sometimes it feels like they just don't care. But here's a secret that many successful people know. Being ignored is normal. It happens to everyone at some point in their lives. The key to getting through it is knowing how to cope, and more importantly, how to keep moving forward towards success despite it. The experience of being ignored can feel isolating. It makes you second-guess yourself. You might start thinking that your work isn't good enough, that your goals are too lofty, or that you're simply not worthy of attention. But let me tell you, none of those things are true. The reality is that people are often too wrapped up in their own lives to notice the efforts of others. They may not see the countless hours you've poured into your work, the dedication you've shown, or the passion that drives you, and that's okay. What matters most is that you see it. Your awareness of your own journey is far more important than how others perceive it. When you're being ignored, it's crucial to develop a strong sense of self-reliance. This doesn't mean shutting yourself off from the world or refusing to seek help when needed. Rather, it means building an inner confidence that doesn't depend on external validation. You must learn to clap for yourself, to recognize your own achievements even when no one else does. This is where resilience comes in. Being able to stay focused on your path despite the lack of acknowledgement from others. There's something liberating about this mindset shift. When you stop relying on others to notice your efforts, you take back control of your journey. You no longer wait for approval or recognition to validate your work. Instead, you become your own source of encouragement. This doesn't mean the sting of being ignored goes away completely, but it does lessen its impact. You learn to keep moving forward, regardless of who's paying attention, regardless of who notices your progress. Success, after all, is not about how many people are watching you climb. It's about making it to the top, even if you're the only one who knows you're on the mountain. Think about the people who have achieved greatness in any field. Many of them were once ignored, dismissed, or even outright rejected. But they kept going because they believed in their work. They believed in themselves. That's what it takes to succeed, to keep going even when no one is watching. When you find yourself feeling overlooked, use it as an opportunity to strengthen your resolve. Ask yourself why you're doing what you're doing. Is it for the applause, or is it because something inside you knows that this is your path? Let your purpose drive you forward. Let it be the thing that fuels you when external motivation is lacking. When you tap into that deeper sense of purpose, the opinions of others start to matter less. You become less reliant on their validation and more focused on your own goals. One of the biggest traps people fall into when they're being ignored is the temptation to quit. It's easy to think that if no one cares, then maybe you shouldn't either. But here's the thing. The people who ignore you now might be the same ones who are in awe of your success later. Often, people don't recognize value until it's impossible to ignore. That's why it's so important to keep going, to stay consistent, even when the immediate payoff isn't there. Consistency is one of the most underrated elements of success. It's not flashy, and it doesn't always provide instant gratification. But over time, it builds momentum. The more you show up, the more you prove to yourself that you're in this for the long haul, not for temporary recognition, but for the fulfillment of your goals. And eventually, people do notice. sometimes when you least expect it. But what if they never notice? What if, despite all your efforts, you remain unseen? It's a question that many people grapple with, and it's one that has no easy answer. The truth is, not everyone will get the recognition they deserve. Not everyone will be celebrated in the way they should be. And while that can be hard to accept, it doesn't diminish the value of your work or your journey. Success is not solely defined by how many people see it. Success is defined by your ability to reach your own goals, to fulfill your own potential. When you measure success by external standards, such as praise or recognition, you give away your power. You place your happiness and sense of accomplishment in the hands of others who may or may not ever give you what you're looking for. But when you define success on your own terms, you regain control. You become the master of your own journey. This is where true fulfillment comes from, not from the applause of the crowd, but from knowing that you stayed true to yourself no matter what. So how do you cope with being ignored and still succeed? First, recognize that it's normal. You're not alone in this experience. Many people, even the most successful ones, have felt what you're feeling. Second, focus on building inner confidence. Learn to validate yourself rather than relying on others to do it for you. Third, stay consistent. Keep showing up for yourself and your goals, even when no one else is watching. And finally, define success on your own terms. Don't let the opinions or indifference of others dictate how you feel about your progress. In the end, being ignored is just a part of the journey. It doesn't define you, and it certainly doesn't determine your success. What determines your success is how you respond to it. Will you let it discourage you, or will you use it as fuel to keep going? The choice is yours. Remember, the people who ignore you now may one day look up and see just how far you've come, but by then, you'll have already learned the most important lesson of all, that your success was never about them in the first place. It was always about you.